Cycling is a unique sport. Aside from the pressure and pain of performing on the world stage, often you have to set aside individual glory for group tactics. Here in Greenville, South Carolina, the United States' best teams and the riders that comprise them have come together for the 2008 Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships. Over 100 riders will take to the line and strive for the honor of wearing the stars and stripes. With defending champ Levi Leipheimer across the Atlantic racing the Tour of Spain, a slew of past national champions have come to reclaim what they once had. One of the elder statesmen of the sport, two-time champion George Hincapie of Team Columbia, looks to extend a brilliant career, while three-time champ Freddie Rodriguez has seemed to own this jersey the past decade. Garmin Chipotle's Christian Vande Velde is having the year of his life. The national championship would emphatically put an exclamation point on a spectacular season. A year ago, Tyler Hamilton was set to unceremoniously leave the sport that he loves. He credits his rejuvenation and rebirth to rock racing. He would love nothing more than to pay them back. Plenty of dreams before the start, plenty of drama after. Today, only the strong survive for their chance at American immortality. We welcome you to the 2008 Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships. Along with Dave Toll, I'm Craig Hummer. They're going to do 115 miles out on the road today. And Dave, for the Americans, this is a day that they all point towards.
It really is. I mean, how many times do you get a chance to race against guys like George Hincapie? As we take a look at Burke Swindlehurst and Tom Zerbel, two of the Americans that really are in the mix here. As that's now Fred Rodriguez, as he's finished his sign-in, a three-time USPRO road champion there.
You bring up a great point, which is for fans of this sport, this is one of those unique days where the Americans that race in Europe in the peloton there come back to race with North America's best.
And that happens one time each year, right here in Greenville.
Tyler Hamilton, the defending Olympic time trial champion, he's had some up and down years since then.
He has, but he's on an up right now, Craig. He really is. I mean, through the last 2 months, he won a huge race in China called the Tour of Qinghai Lake. And Tyler Hamilton is certainly going to be a man to watch today.
We're going to let him. Could you be happy?
Garmin Chipotle bringing some of their best, and their leader at the Tour de France, Christian Vande Velde, told us about it.
I'll do better if it's harder race, that's for sure. But we have a great team, and anyone from Garmin coming across the line first is a victory for us.
That's really, Dave, the process and the thoughts that they have taken throughout this year. Garmin Chipotle, one of those new teams, so to speak, in the peloton with a new attitude.
You know, they represent what's right about the sport of cycling right now, and today, a good day for them is if this is a numbers game, they've already won.
Let's talk about this course here in Greenville. It's the third year in a row that the city of South Carolina has hosted this event.
A fantastic venue for the race. I mean, it's very challenging. George Hincapie's hometown. You know, let's not forget Craig Lewis is also from right here in Greenville, and they have supported this race just incredibly well throughout the years. And you know what? We're coming back next year, Craig.
Tyler Hamilton, 12th last year, and interestingly enough, he thought last year here was going to be his last race as a pro.
And it certainly didn't turn out to be that way.
This is our rock racing cam. This is this last turn before they go to the start-finish line. We see it in the start circuits, Dave, and we will certainly see it in our finishing circuits where we can expect the race will be decided.
You know, when you're looking at the finale, riders are already aware of how this corner is going to play out in the race.
At 115 miles, if you're new to cycling, we should point out, shouldn't we, that it's not decided at the beginning. Usually there's a lot of teamsmanship and gamesmanship.
Absolutely. You don't win the race in the opening circuits. You don't win the race in the first 3 or 4 circuits, but you do lose it. And so right now being attentive is key. That looks to me like Brad Huff and Tom Zerbel. That's an interesting move going up the road. Those are two of your top young American talents.
Tom Zerbel's got a pretty interesting tour. You said you've known him for a few years.
Well, he was my old pizza delivery guy back in the day. But, you know, Tom has gone a long, long way since then. It's funny. You think about the fact that just 3 years ago, that man was going to races and sleeping in his car, and look where he is now.
I think it's safe to say you got your pizzas in 30 minutes or less.
There was never a problem.
Zerbel looks as though he's making, or at least trying to make, the first true selection of the day. 4 or 5 guys going with him.
You know, they animate. That's been Bissell all year. They just don't wait around for the race to happen to them. They make it happen. I see that Brad Huff is also there. And it looks like Tyler Hamilton going back to the team car for a little service.
Gotta love the flair that Rock Racing has brought to the cycling this year, haven't they?
You know, you go back to the Tour of California earlier in the year, and there's all kinds of controversy, and these guys really have stepped it up. And, you know, I hope Tyler has a great day today. You never know what's going to happen, but certainly Rock Racing has been an absolutely integral part of our sport.
The leaders now have that break, and now it's up to them to work together to try to keep that gap.
The dynamics of the breakaway, Craig, it is unbelievable how hard it is to make this happen, trying to force that issue. I see that Nick Waite is up there of the Kelly Benefit Strategies team. Brad Huff taking a look over as he's got a couple BMC riders with him. As this is what is all about, trying to get this kind of separation.
The 2008 road race underway early on. We'll be back. Taking a look back at yesterday's time trial, Garmin-Chipotle brought a full complement of riders. Early starter Tom Danielson.
Yeah, look at the laser-like focus off the line. Danielson hits out. We look at his teammate, Steven Koza.
Steve Koza did quite well at the beginning, as did Christian Van de Velde, who had great time trials at the Tour de France.
I mean, how do you crack the code? Can this man do it? That's Tom Zerbel of Bissell, but Garmin-Chipotle is on fire right now.
Dave Zabriskie looking for his third win in a row here at the U.S. Pro Cycling Championships. Danielson would set good split times.
Yeah, Danielson has had great times along the way, but this man has had superior times. Tom Zerbel is on his A game today.
3 laps of this course, no one would be better after 2.5 than Dave Zabriskie.
Well, you're looking at one of the best in the world throughout the last decade. I don't know that many people could say they could beat Dave Zabriskie. Look at the finale.
Christian Van de Velde comes through in 40.49. He becomes the time to beat. Dave Zabriskie doing his best to catch him. But here's really the surprise, Dave. Tom Zerbel.
Charging across the line. What a ride for Tommy. As a matter of fact, that defines a career right there. You got Pro Tour written all over that young man.
This is a man, great things were expected of him. Dave Zabriskie delivers his 3rd national championship in a row, his 4th overall. Without question, Zabriskie the man.
Zabriskie, Zerbel, Van de Velde, Koza, and Danielson, your top 5. What a day of racing it was in Greenville.
There's your podium. And look at Tom Zerbel. He's almost as tall as the Z-Man on the podium.
Yeah, then picking up the road race, there's Tom Zerbel once again back at it as he's driving this group here. That's Nick Waite, the young man from West Virginia, sitting on his wheel. And we're going to see Garmin-Chipotle in every move today, Craig.
You see Dave Zabriskie in 3rd position right there. Let's talk a little bit about how tiring it is to do a time trial the day before a road race.
Well, you know, you talk to some riders and they say it opens the legs up. So you can really go either way on that one. And I could understand why most people think that would not be a good idea to race a maximum effort time trial the day before the road race. But for Zerbel, it does him good.
And one guy that did decide to sit out of the time trial was Tyler Hamilton.
And, you know, we'll see if that does him good or not here. We're looking at the chase group here. As I have a feeling, Craig, things are going to come back together. This time up Paris Mountain, you can see them just up the road. I think they're going to make the catch.
They're going to do Paris Mountain 4 separate times. And as you know, Dave, this is where the natural selection starts to happen.
And just look at the tempo right there from Zerbel. I mean, he's so comfortable riding with it himself. You can see other riders right now scrambling to try to find the right wheel. Craig Lewis is lucky living in Greenville. It's nice to have a friend hand up a bottle there in a non-feed zone.
Let's talk about Zerbel some more. This guy is big for a bike racer.
Yeah, I mean, he's a wattage cottage is what he is. I mean, you're looking at 190 pounds, but he can generate more power than any other man on the planet, I would have to say.
How tough is it going to be for a guy like Craig Lewis and George Hincapie? You know, Columbia, not the huge team presence that Garmin-Chipotle usually has.
Well, right now, as you look at them coming over the top, you're right. The team presence of Garmin-Chipotle is overwhelming. I mean, the other squads are feeling very, very nervous about the fact that Garmin-Chipotle will put 2 or 3 riders in every breakaway that goes up the road. They are in perfect position to take out the win today.
Well, and speaking of positioning, Dave, the main pack now 37 seconds back. Are they still within striking distance?
Absolutely. No question. You know, that's the thing about racing at this level is when you get down to the final 10 miles, then we could start talking about being out of position. But that group could chase back. You know, right now I'm going to flip to kilometers, but they know that they can bring back 8-9 seconds per K on a breakaway. We take a look actually at Phil Zychek there, the Health Net Maxis rider. Boy, these guys are starting to look a little bit worked over as BMC's Jackson Stewart going to the radio. Jackson has been an antagonist at races throughout the last 5 years, and you have to wonder, what is he talking about right now?
Dave, we just saw the stat of Jackson's right there. We should bring up the fact that a lot of these guys in America, it's a great feeder system, isn't it, for the pros in Europe?
Yeah. We don't get enough credit. I mean, there's no question. If you were to go ask all of the men who race in America, there is no question that a good half of them could be racing in Europe at the Pro Tour level. And that's not my opinion, that's a fact.
Well, that's a fact, certainly, Dave, that's supported by a lot of fans of the sport here in the United States. The main field at the moment, close to 45 seconds behind. They'll have to do this climb up Paris Mountain 3 more times.
The tempo right now up over the top of Paris Mountain. Look at the field spread out all over the road, Craig. This is what bike racing is all about. It's a hot, muggy day with 115 miles of racing. You can see only the strong will survive.
Number 60, Lucas User from Garmin Chipotle, and right behind him, Michael Creed from Rock Racing. 2 very strong teams. What do you think they're saying to each other right now, Dave?
Well, Lucas User's trying to punch his ticket is what's going on. Trying to take him off the back of the group, and Michael Creed wasn't having any of that. But these are the battles that go on throughout the 115 miles that people at the start-finish line have no idea about.
Well, it really is. We hinted at this a little bit. Look at this. They're still exchanging some words.
Well, and you know, right now, Lucas is telling him, listen, man, you've got to get in the rotation. If you're not going to start pulling through, I'm going to take you off the back, and I'll keep taking you off the back until you're not here anymore.
Craig Lewis, number 4. You can see the blue of the Team Columbia jersey. That was a jersey we saw a lot in July at the Tour de France. And there's his teammate, George Hincapie.
George Hincapie, one of our race favorites here, looking around. Roman Killen in the group as well. It's on here in Greenville.
We welcome you back to the Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships in Greenville, South Carolina. Some southern hospitality today, although, Dave, the riders look to be suffering a little bit.
All right, you can only imagine what it's like. There's Michael Creed. We were just talking about Michael as maybe not the most popular guy in the breakaway right now. I'm a big fan of Michael Creed, and Rock Racing has done so much for the sport.
Our Rock Racing cam again taking us through this corner. A lot of men still together, but this is what we would expect.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, patience is a virtue. And, you know, the top riders in the field, as we watch them rolling through Greenville once again here on the second circuit, the top riders have to realize that. Going in the early breakaway, a rider with his hand in the air telling you he's looking for service, as we take a look at the man, Dave Z.
Dave Z, who won the time trial yesterday, looks to be feeling a little bit of the effects today. You talked about perhaps opening the legs up, but for Z-Man, I think his best work was a day ago.
You know, and that's one thing that Garmin Chipotle has going for them. They've got so many cards that they can play. You know, Dave Zabriskie maybe not going to be a factor here today, although he is up in that breakaway. You can see him sitting on the wheel of Jonathan Garcia. That's Nick Waite there. Tom Zerbel in the break as well. This is a very strong group, Craig.
Z-Man is one of those eclectic members of the peloton, isn't he?
You think?
He's always good for a soundbite, whether he wants to give one or not, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's Georgia's home team. Although we're in South Carolina, Georgia has been a big, big part of the sport, and that's Jittery Joe's there driving the tempo. You know, when you look at that right there, you wonder, why do they feel so much responsibility right now?
Well, you cover a number of races throughout the year. In terms of these U.S. teams that put it all together, which ones do you like the best?
Well, BMC. The team you're looking at right there, that's Jonathan Garcia from Colorado, sitting second wheel. That team is pro-continental. So if you want to break it down in baseball terms, they're not big leagues, but they're triple A. They're right there. And in this group now, there's another team that unfortunately is going to be going away after this season, the Health Net Maxis squad. And then another one of our favorites. We talk a lot about George Hincapie. That's Craig Lewis of the Columbia team. That's the same team as George Hincapie, the same hometown. What an amazingly bright future Craig Lewis has. And he's super motivated today. Looking at the Garmin team car here, going back and chatting a little bit, Lucas User, young man from San Luis Obispo, California. Lucas is another one of the guys that maybe you don't hear a lot about, but he's going to be winning stages at the Tour de France.
Touch on the splash that the Garmin-Chipotle team has really given this sport this year.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, you go back to the last year, the team launch, there was so much positive energy about this team. It's going to do things in a new way. They're recreating how the sport is going to happen. And they have not only done that, but they've been successful. And I really, really think as we look at the main field here, that Garmin-Chipotle is what's right about cycling.
The main field has started to drop back a bit, close to 2 minutes back right now. When you talk about driving the pace, it has certainly been Garmin-Chipotle throughout the day.
Well, there's a man who had an Olympic dream, Brad Huff of the Jelly Belly squad coming through. We can see Michael Creed. That's a useful group. There's no question about that, and you're right. The split at 2 minutes, but it's going to start coming down.
That seemed to be Tim Henry on the front there from Jittery Joe's, trying to drive that main field, trying to close that back. There's still some time.
There is, and you know, it's worth noting now as we look at Tom Danielson setting tempo, well, actually Tom Danielson working near the front. It's only Americans in our field here. So you might wonder, what is Lucas doing here? Well, he's bringing bottles up to the team. That is what you want on your squad.
Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships underway in Greenville, South Carolina. It's getting animated out on the road, isn't it, Dave?
No question. This breakaway is really starting to unravel here. Lucas User is just drilling it. You can see even his teammates are having a little bit of trouble staying on that wheel.
Steve Koza right behind him. Dave Zabriskie in a world of hurt, seems to be dropping off the pace. I tell you what, that's the politics of the peloton right there.
And that's a teammate telling his leader there to slow down. I mean, unbelievable how strong Garmin-Chipotle is today.
That's a great illustration, though, isn't it? How with a guy like Lucas User, he's really just riding in his own pace.
Well, absolutely. As we watch Lucas, you know, I mean, he can only ride one speed. It's full gas. And, you know, Lucas had been spending time with that man, Michael Creed, trying to take him off the back of the group. Well, looks like Dave Zabriskie, after yesterday's time trial win, in a spot of bother right now, but I wouldn't worry too much if I were Dave Z.
Zabriskie maintaining his own cadence and his own rhythm, hoping that he can somehow find a way back up to the leaders, but without a doubt, this time up Paris Mountain was not his favorite.
You know, I got to say, in the early going, this is one of the greatest bike races I have ever seen. As we go back to the peloton here, things at the front have been incredibly animated. We look at the Toshiba team as they roll through. That's Aaron Olsen, a man who spent some time racing Pro Tour over in Europe. Christian Vandevelde coming up. So a lot of the big names still back in the group, but this is a very, very dangerous break.
Well, in a great position for Dave Zabriskie now, showing just why you earn your stripes, don't you, as a pro, finding a way to make it back off the back end of these leaders.
Well, and that's the thing. At the very front of the race, Craig, you know, the tempo will go ballistic at times, and then they'll back off the gas. We just saw Stephen Koza asking Lucas User to, you know, ease up just a little bit here, and that's what's happened. They've eased up, and Dave Zabriskie's back into the group.
For people who don't watch a lot of cycling, explain the reason why those accelerations and decelerations take place, because a fan might just think that you go hard the whole time.
Well, I understand that, but you're absolutely right. What happens is, at the very front of the bike race, it's not about a steady state effort. It's about massive implosions of power, and it goes back and forth that way. And you really would never be able to understand that unless you were there yourself. But when they go hard, it's unbelievable. But at times, your grandma could stay in the group.
I don't know about my grandma. Well, definitely my grandma, just not me. That's for sure. But, you know, one of the early leaders out of that main group now being caught, you talk about imploding, and that's truly what can happen, isn't it? When you lose your energy, you drop back quickly.
It's all over. I mean, it's amazing how quickly it'll go bad on you. It's not getting pear-shaped on them right now, though, as the front group. You can see Michael Creed, Jonathan Garcia. That's Stephen Koza. Boy, Koza is just a monster today on the front.
Well, it's funny. Koza asked his teammate User to slow down, but now he's the one that's really hammering away.
Yeah, you know, and you can see Lucas User is still tucked back in that group, but Michael Creed looking very, very fresh, almost like a bobblehead doll there. I mean, he looks very good. We're looking now at Tom Zerbel, who's in the early breakaway. He's coming out of that group. It's going to be happening all day here. Riders are going to start getting shelled.
This is one of those times, especially on Paris Mountain, where you hope your legs are feeling good. you know going into it exactly what you're going to face because of all these circuits.
Yeah, well, you do know what you're going to face, but you don't know what you're up against, if you understand me. I mean, it's, you know, the course is one thing, but it's these animals that attack and attack that make the race so tough.
How much can a guy like Zerbel, who's sitting right behind Z-Man, actually benefit off of tucking in going uphill?
And not at all. At that point on the climb, it's really every man for himself. Now, on the backside of that climb, the descent, it makes a huge difference. You want to be in that group, but right here, like, even though they're lined up, it's more about setting tempo, staying in the wheels. It's not about getting a draft.
Zerbel managing to come back now, passing Z-Man and trying to catch those leaders. Z-Man, though, going to return the favor. Zabriskie just will not give in.
I mean, do these men look like they're at war or what?
Great expressions on their faces. You look into those sunken eyes and you just wonder what could possibly be going through their head other than just the connection of those leaders.
And it looks like Zabriskie and Zerbel are going to make contact again, this time over Paris Mountain. The fireworks are underway.
Approaching the summit of Paris at this point. The main field, though, close to 3 minutes back. It's not too early to start talking time gaps and when that main field is going to have to pick up the pace a little bit.
Well, right now we watch the field as they go over the climb. There's a lot more racing to come. Oh, it's the USPRO Road Championships.
The Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships well underway out on the road here in Greenville, South Carolina. Let's talk about this city for a second, Dave. They have really rolled out the red carpet for these riders, haven't they?
Well, and you know, the best news, Craig, is that we're coming back next year, because you're absolutely right. We couldn't find a better host for this event as we watch Lucas User showing that he's pretty happy to be in South Carolina right now, but you're right. What a wonderful, wonderful venue.
Final climb of Paris Mountain going on at the moment. Lucas User was hoping to stay in check for a little bit, but now he is going for it.
Well, it's crunch time. No question. User attacking, taking Garcia with him.
One of these things that's also great about getting to see the best pros in racing here in town is also the fact that the Palmetto Peloton project has been going on, which is a great charitable ride.
It really is. It's no charity ride right now. As you can see, that is Jittery Joe's on the front. But yeah, the Palmetto Peloton project, raising money for Lance Armstrong Foundation, it's an integral part of what we do each year in Greenville.
They also raise money for the Greenville Hospital System. So besides coming to see the best pros, you can always come and take part in that charitable ride, fun runs as well. The whole family can have fun when they're here. And talk about having fun at the moment. You're having fun when you're in the lead, aren't you?
I don't know that either one of these guys is having fun, to be honest. That is Lucas User and John Garcia, our two leaders. Garcia racing for the BMC team. I would have to say, Craig, outside of Garmin Chipotle, BMC the strongest team in Greenville right now.
Well, these guys have really set the tone throughout this day. And at the moment, Jonathan Garcia has decided he wants to do a little pulling at the front.
Well, I mean, take a look at that ride. That is not a bicycle. That's a weapon that Garcia has with him.
Great form from both of these two. When you talk about climbing specialists, this is the mold.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, Craig, the story is, are these two going to have someone come up and join them? Two riders will never stay away here. It's just way, way too much racing ahead of them. And Garmin Chipotle looks like they want to have their cake and eat it too today.
Not only Garmin, but there is Team Columbia as well. The time gap has come down by roughly a minute. It's around 2 minutes back. So the Peloton, they've decided it's game on.
Well, it clearly is. And, you know, you talk about Columbia, that's the light blue jersey of Craig Lewis and George Hincapie. You know, they only have two riders in the race, but they have two of the top 5 riders in the race. That's a good advantage for them.
So it's safe to say that they can't really dictate the pace, but once they are able to react, they have to pick their time.
Absolutely, and that's really the benefit that you have. Craig Lewis is a young rider. He has got a bright future ahead of him, where George Hincapie, one of the very few Americans who can say they've been to 5 Olympic Games in their career. George Hincapie has more experience than the entire field combined.
Coming off of his Olympics in Beijing, you go from one of the elder statesmen to one of the young bucks, so to speak.
Yeah, Lucas User has a bright future. We've talked about that earlier, but as Lucas has been really doing the yeoman's work on the front of the bike race here, Garmin Chipotle is playing their cards perfectly. It's just been fantastic to watch how they execute their plan.
You mentioned how two guys can't stay away this far out in front. It's simply the laws of physics, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, that dynamic comes to play as, each time up the hill, no problem. On Paris Mountain, they're in good shape. It's on the backside, and when they go into Greenville, where the power of the peloton, it's just undeniable.
How much energy can you save on the downhill and really on the flats when you're in that main group?
I think a fair number. Well, if you're in the sweet spot of that group, you're not doing any work at all. It's a free ride. The guys on the front are I would say the guys on the front are obviously working, but when you get back that next layer, you're saving 30-40%.
Steven Koza getting caught by the main group. They really have upped the pace. The gap now to the leaders only 1 minute and 42 seconds. And keep in mind, that's just the two in front.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to put paid to that effort here shortly. That's Pat McCarty, another man who has extensive experience racing over in Europe. He was actually on Floyd Landis' Phonak team going back a couple years ago. It's good to see the camper vans out on course. There's Mavic there supporting our riders, our two leaders. Lucas User is just dancing on the pedals right now.
With the strong team that Garmin Chipotle has and with a guy out in the lead, why would Garmin be leading the pack to chase?
They're setting up the finale. As simple as that. I mean, Lucas User knows he's not going to win this bike race, but what he's doing is making things easier for his teammates. You can see back in the motorcycles, they're one rider trying to chase up to this group, but without a guy like Lucas User, you don't win races this big.
You mentioned that Garmin's setting up. Who would they be setting up for, do you think?
Well, you have to look back, going back to the team now. Christian Vandevelde would certainly be a rider that I would expect them to be riding for. Vandevelde has stayed in the wheels. He's a Tour de France, absolutely amazing Tour de France this year. But we haven't heard of Christian's name once today. That's a good thing.
Blake Caldwell now instigating just a little bit, throwing another card of Garmin Chipotle's.
Look at this. So Blake Caldwell, 24 years old, is truly one of the brightest talents in America. Multi-time junior national champion. He broke his hip back in March, and here he is putting the wood to him.
That's something that I guess a lot of casual fans don't really know is how often riders are injured and how often they have to come back from major injuries.
One of the great stories of our USPRO Road Championships is Timmy Duggan coming back from a near life-threatening injury at the Tour de Georgia earlier this year. He finished 13th in a time trial. Both Timmy Duggan and the man you were just looking at, that being Blake Caldwell, are really what's right about sport right now, Craig. And to see Blake Caldwell off the front, he had a great Tour of Utah just a couple of weeks earlier. And Blake Caldwell has shown us that he is the future of American cycling.
We saw this a couple times this summer during the Tour de France. Guys getting away, guys staying away. Percentage-wise, what would you give it to those two right now?
If we ran them to the line from here 200 times, they would probably win none.
Blake Caldwell trying to bridge that gap. He's done a great job, and now he has him in his sights. That's the carrot he's shooting for.
Yeah, he's going to make the catch here, and you wonder what he's going to see when he gets there. Fantastic crowd that we've had in Greenville. Jonathan Garcia, it's worth noting what a strong ride he has had today. Garcia is the man. Well, everyone's in a white jersey up here in this front group, but in the white jersey with the black shorts, Garcia is about to be joined by Blake Caldwell. You can see Lucas User just continues to just thrash away.
User will not give in, that's for sure. You can bet his directors on the radio telling him, okay, keep that gap as big as you can until you crest at Paris Mountain. That is what they have just done. And for the last time, the riders coming over the top of the hill. From here on in, it literally is downhill. Here at the Greenville Hospital System USA Cycling Pro Championships, Paris Mountain is behind them, and on this descent, how fast are they going to be going, Dave?
Easily 60 miles an hour here. Hamilton trying to chase back into the group. Don't worry about Tyler, though. I think that, there's going to be a little bit of back and forth here. Tyler coming out of the group, but he'll slot back in, no problem.
Still two men up front. That's User and Garcia. There's a guy sort of in no man's land. We saw that going up the climb, and that's Blake Caldwell.
Yeah, Blake Caldwell, the young man from Boulder, Colorado, our multi-time junior national champion, coming back. We talked about his hip earlier. He's had knee injuries as well. So Blake Caldwell is clearly back and in full effect. Look at the chase he's giving.
There he is, 17 seconds down, having to do all the work himself, but that's what he's been doing for about the past 10 minutes or so out on the race course.
At this level, it is so hard to close down the gaps. You can see Blake Caldwell turning himself inside out, clearly trying to get up to our leaders. A look over the shoulder, you got to wonder what is right behind Blake now. A chase group had come together, and I see some blue on the front. Looks like maybe George Hincapie. There's Chris Baldwin as well. So a very strong group right behind Caldwell. Craig, I would say he should slot in with that group.
On the back of that chase group, Tyler Hamilton. And you mentioned early on in this race that if your name isn't talked about for a while, it's a good thing, and Tyler's seeming to play that card well.
Yeah, and look now at everyone checking each other out. George Hincapie, a former teammate of Tyler Hamilton, and I have a feeling he might want to have a little word here, as that in the red, white, and blue, that's Chris Baldwin. Always, every move has got Garmin Chipotle all over it, and it looks like we've got Colavita's Anthony Colby attacking out of the group now. Hincapie covers quite well.
George Hincapie trying to cover every move, but we've talked about it time and time again. When you're the one of three guys, it doesn't give you a lot of team options, does it?
He's at a tactical disadvantage, no question about it. And, George is one of the riders who's strong enough to overcome that. We're going flashing forward to the front of the race here now, and it looks like we're going to hit the reset button.
That's right, because the chase group bringing it all together. A valiant effort by these two, Garcia and User, but just not enough horsepower, or more importantly, probably this course took just enough out of them to bring the others back.
Yeah, they're absolutely empty right now. As a matter of fact, I'd be amazed if they can even stay with the chase group that's going to become the lead group here very quickly. Garcia has been phenomenal today, riding the role for the team. Same thing could be said about Lucas User, but you know what? I think you look at the Machiavellian chess match, you can move those two chess pieces off the board.
Well, the big question becomes, what happens now? Garmin Chipotle certainly strengthened numbers.
Yeah, and so Lucas User looks like he's going to his inhaler there. A TUE is what we call that, a therapeutic use exemption. Can you imagine having an asthma attack right now?
Well, these conditions are brutal. We've talked about how hot it is, how muggy it is out on the road. That's the Columbia jersey number 2 of George Hincapie. He's a guy that I think coming into this race, everyone was looking towards.
And that is the big problem for George. You want to talk about a marked racer. George Hincapie has a giant red X on his back.
There he is doing his best to fight up against the Argyle Armada of Garmin Chipotle, but it's just not working at the moment. Look at this, Danny Pate taking a flyer.
And if there's one guy that could make that stick, it would be Danny Pate, no question. BMC is going to try to cover. Look at Hincapie, very, very strong today. We talked about him being marked. Well, he's on his A game as well. So Danny Pate right now stretching the legs.
Danny Pate, Jeff Lauder is the one in second position, and of course George Hincapie from Team Columbia covering in third.
Yeah, Lauder just got done with the biggest win of his career in front of his... Oh! My goodness, Ted King goes down. We're talking about Lauder winning at Utah. That was a nasty, nasty crash.
Another example, Dave, of just how in milliseconds it can change. Flat tire causing that.
Absolutely. You have to feel for Ted King. He's had a phenomenal season. The Bissell rider going down, and I hope he's not out for the count here. We're going back to the front of the bike race here as Lucas User is taking another turn, but now he's got his teammates countering his move. It is clearly on. Christian Vande Velde with an exceptional ride today.
We saw Vande Velde put in attacks like this so many times during the Tour de France. What a great July it was for this rider. It would be certainly icing on the cake to wear the stars and stripes, but we are far from the finish.
Andy Bajadali of the Kelly Benefit Strategies team, he made his name in Greenville last year, and he's back at it now. Tyler Hamilton showing you what a true pro knows. It's stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. The finale's coming up, and he's going to be in the mix.
Tyler Hamilton also has been doing a great job, almost like a domestique. He said before the race he was hoping to work for Freddie Rodriguez, and maybe if something happened for him, it'd be a bonus.
Well, you know what? We might be moving into the bonus zone because Tyler Hamilton has put himself in position to be in position to have a shot at the win. This is unbelievable racing. Another attack going up on the inside. It's Pate again. Danny Pate is relentless today.
Danny Pate, another one of the Garmin Chipotle riders who did quite well at the Tour de France, 14th in both time trials there in France, came in third in that stage on our way to Italy.
Danny Pate has been on the podium at the USPRO Road Championships, whether it's the time trial or the road race, 7 times in the last 8 years.
The man has certainly got the resume to back up the riding we are seeing.
That's Brad White of Successful Living team you're looking at there in the blue. Another rider looking for service here. I have a feeling you're a day late and $1 short, my friend.
Danny Pate going for it now on one of these little rolling descents as we head into town. We talked about the elevation of Paris Mountain being behind them. This is what you have to do if you're going to try to win here.
Pate is a former world time trial champion, going back to Portugal as a U23, under 23 rider. Danny Pate is as good at this as anyone on the planet. He won a stage at the Tour of Missouri last year, attacking out of the breakaway. He's attacking the breakaway again. You're looking at some old school fury right there.
That's a man that has taken matters into his own hands, got close to 10 seconds now on the chase group. At this point, is this a gap that could stick?
Absolutely. We'll have to see how it plays out, but clearly the racing is animated.
Oh, this is really when it gets good, isn't it? We've got 3 finishing circuits here in downtown Greenville. Pate still able to put the metal down, so to speak. He's giving it full throttle.
I mean, you know, the throttle is all the way open right now. Danny Pate, with a look over his shoulder, is going to see the gap is continuing to grow. You have got to love a man who races like this. In order to win at this level, you have to risk losing. Danny Pate is not afraid.
And what Danny Pate really has done now, as we see the guys who have tried to answer, is he's blown this race apart. There are 4 that have left the main pack. That's Tyler Hamilton, Jeff Lauder, Lucas User, and Blake Caldwell. They, Dave, have been the only ones able to match him.
Well, when Danny Pate decides to drop bombs, there's very few people standing. These are the strong men of the American peloton, no question about it. Tyler Hamilton in great position here, and you've got to love Jeff Lauder as well. You know, coming off of that win at the Tour of Utah, his form is absolutely brilliant, and this is the ultimate selection.
What they really have to do now, isn't it, is they've got to work, these 4 have to work together, because if there's any hesitation at all, the main field's going to come back up on them.
Absolutely, like a lion taking down an antelope on the Serengeti. It's nasty when they make that catch. I don't think it's going to happen today, Craig. I mean, right now, for the finale, we've set things up. Danny Pate looks like he's coming back to the group, but I truly believe your winner is one of these 5 men.
Well, Danny Pate now looks over his shoulder. He sees that this catch is going to happen. Garmin Chipotle now has that strength in numbers, but that second group all the way back at almost a minute behind, so you can see what that explosiveness of Danny Pate was able to do.
Well, Tom Danielson right there sitting on now. Burke Swindlehurst, the Bissell rider, has really got a lot of responsibility. Bissell's tried to animate and dictate today, but it just didn't work out.
The Rock Racing cam picking up Tyler Hamilton of Rock Racing leading the way when we come back to finish of the US Pro Championships. Hours on the road are now about to pay dividends for one of these 5 riders. Danny Pate, the late instigator in this field. He's the one that broke it all apart at the finish.
So Danny Pate going to the radio. You got to believe back at the team car that they're hearing he's deep in the hurt locker.
So what that's done is that's allowed Blake Caldwell to sprout some rings. He now moves to the front, trying to get a little bit of gap on the other 4.
Phenomenal. Unbelievable today. Tyler Hamilton trying to close down that gap, but Blake Caldwell is turning the screws once again.
Well, I tell you what, Caldwell's turning the screws. Hamilton, the only one now able to answer, so the 5 have become 2. Blake Caldwell out in front. Tyler Hamilton from Rock Racing still,
Well, they are sitting up right now. You know, there is better cooperation in the final days of the Donner Party than what you've got in this breakaway right now.
Hamilton decides he's going to go to the front. You heard me. I was shocked, Dave, to see Hamilton, after he closed that gap, to actually sit up. Now it looks as though these 2 have been able to maintain this gap. So this could be an incredible move on this last lap of our finishing circuits for Hamilton and Caldwell to be able to stay away.
Clearly, they've got the gap that they were looking for. Your winner is now one of those 2 men. Okay, it's all over back there. The chase is not coming. Tyler Hamilton really in perfect position. He's going to go to the line with the understudy, Blake Caldwell. These 2 both live in the same hometown. As we look at now, wow, an exceptional effort from Pate.
The self-flagellation, trying to get his legs to release. He is without a doubt cramping. That's what you said earlier. He was talking to the team car, not feeling good. Those huge efforts early on. At some point, as you know, everybody's got to pay.
Well, does Garmin lose their advantage right now? Because they've got Tyler Hamilton with the young Blake Caldwell. Blake Caldwell's driving things. Hamilton is loving the position he's in right now. As a matter of fact, look at him urging Caldwell on.
I hope that was a rhetorical question when you said, did Garmin lose their advantage? You're the expert, my friend. You better be saying, yes, they have lost their advantage.
I think they did. I don't think that's a position they want to be in. I mean, I love the fact that Blake Caldwell's having this kind of a ride, but going to the line with Tyler Hamilton, that's like showing up in a gunfight with a knife.
Well, Lucas User, he put in so much effort early on. Danny Pate the same. You see right there as well. That is Lauder from BMC trying to find a way to close the gap. But really, as we've talked about, it's these two. It's going to be between these two. Blake Caldwell, Tyler Hamilton. Now you talk about the final chess game. Who is going to be the man to move to checkmate?
Well, and Tyler Hamilton taking a pull right now. This is what bike racing is truly meant to be. As Tyler Hamilton realizes he's got the young rider Blake Caldwell in a bit of trouble here. They're on the final circuits in Greenville. And Tyler Hamilton, you know, James Brown grew up not far from here. You want to talk about the big payback? It looks like it's coming.
The other thing that Blake Caldwell can do is he doesn't have to take the front. He's playing the team card right now. His team is chasing, so Caldwell just sits back and lets Hamilton do the work.
At this point, Caldwell would probably rather the group got caught, or the small group that he's in. You're right. I mean, he's playing it perfectly, but with strength in numbers that Garmin has right now, they don't have that advantage.
Danny Pate trying to get onto the back. That's number 3, 4, and 5 that we're looking at. So those are your chasers to the front two. And there are the front two way off in the distance. Danny Pate trying to dig deep and find some extra energy.
Danny Pate is just unbelievable. There has been no rider at our USPRO Road Championships through this decade that have represented as well as Danny Pate, and he is hitting with authority right now. It looks like Jeff Lauder has decided to counter that move. This is bike racing.
Lauder and now User. So Garmin Chipotle trying to use their numbers. We're down to 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles to go. It is Tyler Hamilton having to do all the work out on front.
So look at him, Tyler on the front. He's got Blake Caldwell where he wants him, as 6 seconds is the gap. It's a very, very small distance between our leaders being, the breakaway being driven right now by Jeff Lauder. Boy, Lucas User knows how to play the team role, sitting in, waiting. If it does come together, User will attack. And there goes Pate again.
Danny Pate, talk about the Herculean efforts. This man is trying to help his teammate out to get up to the top, but every time he does a pull, he has to sit back.
Yeah, and right now Lauder trying to get rid of these two, but he's left it late here, and they're inside 1K to go as well. So the chase inside 1K, they're at 500 meters right now. Tyler Hamilton looking for some redemption.
Well, Tyler Hamilton has been off the radar, so to speak, for the past few years. This would bring him front and center, not just to American cycling, but world cycling.
Caldwell knows that he can't let this go down to 200 meters. I have a feeling he's going to attack. Looking over the shoulder, he sees it's not going to come back together. As we're now into the final few hundred meters, Tyler has him right where he wants him.
Absolutely. Tyler able to cover any move that he makes. He's the man in front. Now being in front actually gives you a small advantage. Blake Caldwell looking around, seeing if his teammates there. We go one final time to our Rock Racing cam. It is the 2 leaders, and Rock Racing has their own Tyler Hamilton right there, and there's the move.
And a big jump from Caldwell. Neither one of these riders are known as sprinters. As a matter of fact, this is probably going to be one of the very few times in their career that they go to the line winding it up like this. Blake Caldwell on the front into the final 100 meters. You can see his teammates are about to close the deal, but it looks like at the line, Tyler Hamilton and Blake Caldwell, that is photo finish. Impossible to tell from here.
Garmin Chipotle had the numbers, 3 out of the top 5. Tyler Hamilton, though, he may have had the winning move. We are going to have to go to the photo finish. Let's go there now. Who's it going to be? It is Tyler Hamilton. Let's visit with the winner.
Last year here in Greenville, I thought it was my last race of my career. And fortunately for me, I got another chance. Michael Ball gave me this opportunity to be on Rock Racing. And, here I am. And it's really special, really special. It's pretty emotional feeling right now.
His first individual single-day race win since the 2003 Liège-Bastogne-Liège. Tyler Hamilton is back. Here in Greenville, South Carolina, 2 main storylines seem to develop. The first is Garmin Chipotle's dominance. As a team, nobody was more forceful or tactical. But at the end of the day, that team superiority may have cost them individual glory. Ready to capitalize on his good fortune was Rock Racing's Tyler Hamilton. Out of the sport for 2 years, his long road back has been well documented. His win is not only a validation of his commitment, but also perhaps a confirmation of the new direction cycling has taken. A year removed from possible retirement, Hamilton finally hears the cheers he's yearned for over 5 years. Whether this championship caps off a great career or launches an incredible comeback, no one can take today away. The Stars and Stripes are his.